So, good evening, friends. Let's start. The first topic that we are starting today is transgenders. Now, before we get into schemes, programs, and everything related to transgenders, we should first understand who a transgender is. Who is a transgender? कोई बताएगा मुझे? Who is a transgender? Male and female gender. No. It's like highly stereotyped definition. See, transgender is any person, let's say, मैं हूँ. And if I felt like that I have been born in a wrong body, मतलब hormone wise I was like all female, but I have been born in this wrong body. This person can also be a transgender. So transgender is any person to whom a gender has been associated as per societal norm, but that person is not comfortable with that identification. That person is a transgender. People who have a gender identity or expression that differs does not conform to social expectation for their assigned sex. Okay, so a sex may have been assigned to me, I am a male, but I do not feel like, I do not conform to those aspects. I do not conform to the gender identity of a male. Then I'm a transgender. Now, sometimes, like what may happen that I would want to go for surgery and get my sex converted from male to female. These people are also called transsexual. जिन्होंने अपना sex transition करवा लिया. So they are also transgenders only. Or people who are known as skinners, whose genital organs are different from what we have. They are also transgenders. So there are transgender is a very broad term. It may include genderqueers, it may include transsexuals, it may include a number of other aspects that we cannot discuss. All those things we will not be able to discuss. There are many definitions. Okay, now please differentiate transgenders from the term like lesbian or gay or bisexual. Now see, lesbian is a female who likes another female. And that female may not need to be a transgender. वो अपने आप को लड़की की तरह पसंद कर रही है. She is like, I'm a girl and I like a girl. That's a lesbian. This girl may not be a transgender. A girl may like a girl. A boy may like a boy. आकाश कहाँ है? आदित्य? इतना खुश क्यों हो रहे हो आकाश का नाम सुन के? तो इतना खुश क्यों हुए? So Aditya, if Aditya likes Akash, now Aditya is a boy, is a guy. He is not necessarily a transgender, but he would be a gay. Right? Aditya already officer है, Akash officer बन जाएगा, life set है. अगर होगा ऐसा तो. So did you understand the difference between transgender and homosexuality or bisexuality? All those things. Right? Clearly वो differentiation होना चाहिए. Now, transgenders may also include people who are not exclusively male or female, or who are genderqueer or non-binary. These people are transgender. As per the census, 2011 census, India has 4,90,000 transgenders. But this number is a huge underestimation, because India में ना definition of transgender itself was not, a lot of chats are there. You're not audible. Guys, am I audible? No, I'm audible. Yes. Clearly audible, ना? कोई issue नहीं है? Okay. Great. Thank you. So, who is a transgender? वो पता लगा? Now see, जब 2011 census हो रहा था, people who conduct these census, do they understand this broad definition of transgender? No. They would only perhaps the people who are called kinners, उनको identify किया, and only those people who informed कि yes, we are kinners. So that number may be 4,90,000, but in reality, the transgender population may be very high. Now, they face a lot of problems. For example, think of kinners only. The community which recognize themselves as kinners, they are transgenders. They are generally given up by their family. In the very childhood, if you go to rural backward areas, families see them as burden, families see them as पुराने जन्म पापों का फल मिला है, हमें ऐसा बच्चा मिला है, and they end up giving those children to kinner community. So family gives them up. There's social stigma associated with someone being transgender. They're discriminated in all walks of life. Think of anything, like right from the family life to education. Now, if I'm a transgender, which washroom do I use? Male wala washroom or female wala washroom? There would be discrimination there. The educational institution may face discrimination. In hospitals, I'll face discrimination. In jobs, I'll face discrimination. Transgender population is generally 1, 2, 3% of the society's population. But do we see around us people of transgender community working? They end up begging. So all these things are there. Mains mein thoda aur zyada padhenge, but here we have to talk more about the steps that have been taken for welfare of transgenders. Social justice mein for preliminary examination, the overall broad steps that have been taken to help transgenders, to ensure that transgenders get their equal rights. And a landmark judgment of Supreme Court, also known as Nalsa judgment, is the most important step that was taken in India. It was after this judgment in 2014 that things have changed for them, for better. Even now, there's a lot of discrimination. Even now, there are lots of flaws in various laws that have come for transgenders. But it is the Nalsa judgment of 2014 which was the landmark. And UPSC may ask you a question: ki Nalsa judgment of 2014 was for which community, or which of the following are the key highlights of the Nalsa judgment of 2014. You should be prepared for that. Okay, so first thing, the most important thing that is there is the Supreme Court declared transgender to be a third gender. That is, you do not have to fit in these people in either male or female. They can identify themselves as different from male and female as third gender. Further, the Supreme Court said that all the fundamental rights which are available in Constitution India for citizens of the country are applicable on them also. ये बोलने की जरूरत नहीं होनी चाहिए because they're already citizens of the country. But still, Supreme Court had to said it because a number of their fundamental rights were being violated. Right to equality, education नहीं मिल रहा, उनके लिए washrooms नहीं है, right? So Supreme Court had to set this. Then Supreme Court also gave them the right to self-determination. That is, they can determine, they can identify themselves as male or female or as third gender. This right of self-identification was provided to them by Supreme Court under Nalsa judgment. And the fourth most important aspect was Supreme Court said that this community, the transgender community, is socially and economically backward, and thus they should also be provided with reservation in jobs and in education. So Nalsa judgment, these 3-4 broad things which Supreme Court said about the transgender community, a very, very important judgment. In fact, whenever, even in the mains examination, if you'll have to write an answer, you will refer to Nalsa judgment. In interviews, when someone would be talking about transgenders, perhaps the first thing that they will ask about is, tell me something about Nalsa judgment. It's that important a judgment, and therefore you should be very clear about it. Okay, mask pehno sab log. Now, various state governments have taken several steps, not very important, but one thing that's very important is, abhi in 2021, Chhattisgarh has become a state which has hired 13 members of transgender community in the state police. Now, when 13 members of the transgender community have been hired in the state police, logo, आप special हो, आप mask नहीं पहनोगे? Mask. So, this was something that happened recently. It was in news. but it's not the first state. Earlier in Tamil Nadu also they had cleared the deck for transgenders entering the police force. There are several like states like Kerala, which became the first state to have a policy for transgenders. Maharashtra, West Bengal, Delhi, they had created transgender welfare board. It was before the law for the protection of transgender, which was passed in 2019. Uske baad every state is mandated to do this, but several states had done it way before that. State like Bihar had given them reservation as OBCs. Transgenders were given reservation as OBCs. Now, in 2019, we passed an act, Transgender Person Protection of Rights Act 2019. It is this act that we'll look at in details, the provisions of this act that we'll look at in details. Then, for implementation of this act, guidelines were also provided, rules were also provided, Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Rules 2020. Ye bhi September 2020 mein these rules were finalized. We'll look at this also in a lot of detail. In fact, before we go to other aspects related to transgenders, let's look at two of these things: the act and the rules. Act which was passed in 2019 and the rules which were notified in 2020. Let's look at those. This act, it was passed in 2019. Look at the name, the Transgenders Persons Protection of Rights. So, this act was focused on protecting the rights of transgender persons. So, all the rights that they have, right to equality and all those things should be protected. No discrimination should happen with them. Those are the things which will be provided here. Agar aap broadly dekhenge, this is what they're doing. First thing that they're saying is, who is a transgender? And they have tried to give a broad definition. So now in 2021 census, when transgenders would be counted, people would be counted in a broader manner. That would be still be difficult because again, people who go to assess these things, they are not this aware about various variations that exist. A male can also be a transgender. I may identify myself as male, but if I'm not comfortable in this body, I may be a transgender. Right? So that identification would still be difficult. They will still list me as a male, where I may not be a male. Right. So first thing that they've done is they have defined transgenders. They say that a person whose gender doesn't match the gender assigned at birth. Let's say I'm a transgender. At my birth, a gender male was assigned to me. My gender, real gender doesn't match to that. A sex that was assigned to me was male. If it doesn't match to that, I'm a transgender. It includes trans men, trans women, intersex variations, gender queers, people who are socio-culturally identified as Kinnars or Hijras. These are all transgenders. Okay, then the law prohibits discrimination against them in all walks of life, in education, in health, in employment, in access to or enjoyment of goods, in goods, facilities or opportunities, in their right to movement, right to reside, rent or own, otherwise occupy property. So here, see, if you deny a transgender a house on the ground that you are a transgender, you are violating a law. From 2019, you may be sent to jail for that. If you are asking a transgender to not enter the park, a public place, you will be violating a law. If you prohibit them from holding any public or private office, if you do those discrimination, you will be violating this law. Then they also have a right to residence in the household. So suppose I was a transgender and my family would have wanted कि मैं जब 6 साल का हो गया मुझे भगा दिया जाए घर से. No, they could not do that. I have the right to reside in that household. And in case they cannot afford it, in case my family cannot afford taking care of me, in that case, government is supposed to provide me rehabilitation center. Then, healthcare related the several steps have been taken. It has been the law provides that government must take steps to provide healthcare facilities for them, including separate HIV surveillance center, sex reassignment surgeries, etc. The government has been asked, you also provide them sex reassignment surgeries. Now, this is not compulsory. ऐसा नहीं बोला कि state shall do this. Government will take steps to provide that. So if I'm a transgender, if I'm not comfortable in this body, if I want to go for a sex reassignment surgery, and even if I'm poor, government must take steps कि वो easily हो जाए. Then government shall review medical curriculum so that health issues of transgenders are also taught in the medical curriculum. अभी आप medical curriculum देखेंगे तो there generally would be male related things, female related things. Transgenders may not be given that much importance. Then there's a provision for certificate of identity. What is the certificate of identity? See, male, female, or transgender. If I have to get benefits which a transgender gets, I should be able to identify myself as a transgender, and for that, I'm supposed to get a certificate from district magistrate. We'll talk about the process of getting the certificate, but a provision for identification as transgender has been provided for. A transgender person may make an application to district magistrate for a certificate of identity indicating the gender as transgender. Now, this person can revise this. कि मैं ट्रांसजेंडर हूं, वो बाद में मेल या फीमेल में कन्वर्ट करवाना चाह रहा हूं. I can do that, but only after undergoing surgery in that aspect. Then states have also been directed to take various welfare measures. We'll talk about these welfare measures when we're talking about the rules. Offenses and penalties have been provided. For example, if you make transgenders do forced labor, if you deny public space to them, if you remove them from household or village, if you physically, sexually, or verbally abusing them, then you may go to jail for up to 2 years. 6 months to 2 years आपको punishment हो सकता है. So this kind of specific law for protecting transgenders was not there earlier. So even earlier, like before this law, if you were sexually abusing a transgender, physically abusing a transgender, verbally abusing a transgender, under various laws of IPC, you may have been punished. But now there's a specific law to protect transgenders in the country. Then the law also provides for establishment of National Council for Transgenders persons. So a question may be asked, National Council for Transgender Person is a statutory body, is a constitutional body, is an executive body. It has been created by a law of parliament. So it's a statutory body. Fine. And then there are some basic details about who will be chairing this NCT. Now please note that transgender community wanted कि commission बना दो. Krol is asking, is it still a bill, sir? No, beta, it has been passed. It is being implemented. When an act is passed, only then on that act rules and everything would be created. Na? The act is finally passed. It has been passed by both the houses of the parliament. Okay, National Council for Transgenders, we were talking about it. So it's a statutory body. Actually, the transgender community wanted to create a national commission. There's a National Commission for Backward Classes, National Commission for Women, National Commission for Children, Protection of Child Rights, National Commission for SCs, STs. Some of them are statutory, some of them are constitutional. But these commissions have powers. For example, they can act like a session court when they have to summon some documents or summon some people. Those commissions can do that. So transgender community wanted a commission. That has not been created. What has been created is a council, National Commission for Transgender, which will be an advisory body. It will advise central government in making policies, in making rules, in making regulations related to transgender community. So this council would be headed by Union Minister of Social Justice. It will have a Minister of State for Social Justice as vice chairperson. Secretary of Minister of Social Justice would be there. There would be one representative from various ministries like Health, Home Affairs, Human Resource Development. The representatives from other ministries, Niti Aayog and NHRC may also be there. Then 5 members from transgender community would be part of this council. This is very important. इस council में ये लोग हैं कि नहीं? The law provides that they should be there, and 5 experts from various NGOs should be there. What is their role? Please note it carefully. Their role is advisory in nature. Their role is advisory in nature. Unlike National Commission for SC, ST, backward classes, बाकी सब में they can act like a court. They can summon, they can make those reports, and all those things could be done. Those reports have to be submitted in parliament and all. Their role is just advisory in nature. Okay, then because the law, it has become a law, there are rules to implement those laws which have come into play. So, Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Rule 2020 was notified and made effective from 25th September 2000. So, it will be almost 1 year when these rules have come into force. It was notified and made to come into force. What do the rules say? Now, first thing that the rules talks about is how to obtain the certificate of identity. The law has said that DM would provide you certificate of identity. It has said that any person can apply for this certificate either through online portal, and till the time online portal is not available, then through post also. And when DM receives this request, within 30 days, the certificate should be issued. And in case the certificate is being rejected, you are not a transgender, you have not given enough proof of being a transgender, then applicant have to be informed of the reason or reasons for such rejection. But then, after this, the applicant may appeal within 90 days of this against the rejection of the certification. Okay, in case of minor child, the certification request would come from parents. So this is something that the rules provide. Now, if you look at the rules, उसमें 20-25 पेज का rule है. Even on this issue, they have given you 2 full pages of details ki how the application would be made, and all those things are provided. Now, understand the difference between a law and a rule. In law, we could not have elaborated all these things. And that's why to implement those laws, these rules have been created. I've just summarized, I've taken a few points. I've not included all the points from those rules in your notes. It's just to explain you, to make you understand the purpose of the rules, and to make you understand that on 25th September, it has come into force. Okay, on 25th September, मेरे एक बहुत अच्छे दोस्त का बर्थडे भी होता है. ऐसे इससे ध्यान रहेगा मुझे. I have a friend, Mano Teja Reddy. Then it also provides that state government should do the following. What? It should constitute a welfare board for transgender person. The law says it. उन्हें करना है. Even before the law, some states had done it. But now, all the states state government shall constitute a welfare board who will look after the rights and interests and facilitate access to schemes and welfare measures for transgender community. Then, the states will also review existing schemes. Existing schemes which are there. Let's say there are schemes for BPL, there are schemes for women, there are schemes for other groups. There is scheme related to food, there is scheme related to education. All those schemes will be modified in such a manner that transgender people are also benefited. States have been asked to do that. Then take steps to prohibit discrimination in different walks of life. Take steps to educate, communicate and train transgenders so that वो अपने rights के लिए लड़ सकें और the stigma associated or discrimination against them should be eliminated. Then sensitize various institutions. उसमें teachers, healthcare professionals, workplaces, complaint officers, all of them should be sensitized about the significance of transgenders and why sensitization related to why there should not be any discrimination and about the law. Then ensure that all educational institutions should have a committee which shall be accessible for transgender person where they can make a case against harassment and discrimination. The law is not saying that a committee honi chahiye. To better implement the law, the rules are providing for this committee. Then National Council for Transgenders has been formed by the law, shall perform the function as per section 17 of the Act. Section 17 of the Act provides for the function of this thing. Then it also says that National Institute of Social Defense. So National Institute of Social Defense is in existence since 50 साल से पहले से. Earlier it was formed under Ministry of Home Affairs. Now it functions under Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. So this National Institute of Social Defense will provide the secretariat assistance for this council. So council के लिए एक separate secretariat has not been created. A secretarial assistance to this council will be conducted at the National Institute of Social Defense. Their meeting and all other things would be facilitated by. This is the rule which came into force in 2020. Not anything interesting. If you know the law, identifying what is there in the rule, what is not there in the rule would be easier, because rule would basically be an extension, more elaboration of the law. It will not be anything different. So these rules came into force in 2020. Okay, now let's go back and look at other steps which are being taken for protection of transgender community. So we have done these two things, the Act and the rules. Now, see, August 2020 में the council was formed. National Council for Transgender, which is a statutory body. Law said that it should be formed. It was formed in 2020. Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment has constituted the National Council for Transgender Person as it was required by the Transgender Person Protection of Rights Act 2019. So you already know the law has provided that it would be chaired by Ministry of Social Justice. Iska vice chairperson would be Minister of State of Social Justice. Secretary of would be there. Then representatives from Ministries of Health and Family Welfare, Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Minority Affairs, Human Resource Development, Rural Development, Labor and Employment, Department of Legal Affairs, Department of Pension, Pensioners Welfare, Niti Aayog. All of these people are also part of this committee. It also includes 5 nominated members from transgender community. 5 लोगों के नाम मतलब now they are forming, so they have identified who are the 5 transgender community members who would be part of this council. So it was in news कि we have formed this council. So in exam council बना है last 1 year में ही बना है, तो you should be knowing कि this council is a statutory body, it's an advisory in nature, it has been formed because of this law. Those things should be clear. Then गरिमा गृह. गरिमा गृह. गरिमा is, गरिमा का मतलब, गरिमा, what is meaning of garima? Garima is like इज्जत, prestige, pride, right? Dignity. Parole has Mrs. Dignity. So garima grah, in a way, dignity home. These are basically shelter homes for transgender. तो एक तो ये word समझो, garima grah have recently been established for which of the following? Understand, it is for trans. So Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment has initiated 12 pilot shelter home and provided financial assistance to community-based organization for setting up shelter homes called Garima Grah for transgender people. Pilot shelter homes have been established, are being established in Maharashtra, Delhi, West Bengal, Rajasthan, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, etc. The main aim is that these transgender people, they should not end up, जब उन्हें घर से निकाल दिया जाता है, सोसाइटी में डिस्क्रिमिनेट किया जाता है, they should not end up on roads. They should have safe and secure shelter where they could live, they could survive. These shelters should also provide basic amenities like food, medical care, recreational facilities, and conduct capacity building, skill development programs for transgender persons. So Garima Grah. Archaeologically, it's not just a place where you will live. You would want that transgender community should be able to get skills, should be able to get medical support, should be able to socialize, should be able to get entertainment. All those things would also be provided for in these Garima. Then National Portal for Transgender Persons have been. What did the rule say? जब तक national portal नहीं है, तब तक you can by post send for the certificate request, right? But the portal has been created. The portal provides for procedure for identification certificate issued by district magistrate. It's now functional in all the districts of the country. This was created in November 2020. As of June 2021, within 6 months of its launch, the portal has issued 1557 certificates. June 2021 तक 6 महीने इसको लॉन्च हुए, नवंबर में लॉन्च हुआ था. It has provided around 1500 certificates. So this portal was also in use. PIB के छोटे-छोटे से news articles हैं which I am trying to include here. These things generally do not come in newspapers, but in PIB it would be there. Garima Grah, so ministry would announce it, so it would be there. So I'm also including all those things. Okay, then India's first university for transgenders. This was established in December 2019. Note that this is not established by government. It was established by Akhil Bharatiya Kinnar Shiksha Trust, All India Transgender Education Service in Kushinagar. Kushinagar is also the death place of Buddha. Right? Where did Mahavir die? Mahavir. Pavapuri करके कोई. Sure? Where was Mahavir born? वैशाली. Okay. Where did he achieve nirvana? ऐसा कुछ नहीं हो. क्या बात कर रहे हो? बुद्धिस्ट काउंसिल अलग है. मैं वो, हाँ वो हुई है, बट he also left home, then he realized, got the enlightenment ना. Where did he achieve that? देखो, in case of Mahavir, all the three things happened in Bihar. Okay, तो Mahavir is like hardcore Bihari. पैदा, nirvana, enlightenment, death, everything happened in Bihar. Buddha के केस में the birth of Buddha took place in which place? Lumbini, Nepal. Then his nirvana took place in Bodh Gaya. His first sermon was in Sarnath, and Mahaparinirvan, that is his death, happened in Kushinagar in Uttar Pradesh. ओके, तो मैंने शायद नोट्स तो आपको दिए ही हैं. निखिल सर ने क्लासेस भी ली थी. आज ये लास्ट क्लास है. आज मैं बोलूंगा क्या क्या रिक्वेस्ट है, आप सब बताओ. नहीं, अभी सबका रिक्वेस्ट पूछ लेंगे. तो आई ऑलरेडी हैव 2-3 थिंग्स प्लान जो मैं करने वाला हूँ. एक शिखा कंप्लेन करती रहती है बैंकिंग नहीं हुआ है अभी, तो बैंकिंग आई डू, डिफेंस आई डू, साइंस एंड टेक का कुछ अपडेट्स है दैट आई डू, बट देन आई ओपन द फील्ड फॉर यू पीपल. बताओ क्या करना है, मुझे एक दिन का टाइम देना. हर ऑल्टरनेट डे आई कैन टीच समथिंग. तो जो भी आपको इशू लगेगा बता दीजिए, बट द कोर्स इज ओवर टुडे, है ना. अगर एग्जाम पोस्टपोन होता है, आई विल कीप टीचिंग यू. आई हैव इनफ मटेरियल कि मैं आपको अगले 1 साल और पढ़ाता रह सकता हूँ. देयर इज इनफ टू बी टॉट. So I'll keep teaching you something or the other, but the course is over today. See, what happens is, other people, other programs, they do not even teach half of what I have taught. But they claim कि एग्जाम से 1 महीना पहले सिलेबस खत्म हो गया या जो भी हो गया. Then students compare it like that. They should not be comparing it like that. वैसे कंपेयर कर रहे हो तो ये सोचो ना कि एनवायरमेंट में किसने कितना पढ़ाया है, साइंस में किसने कितना पढ़ाया है, पॉलिटी में किसने कितना पढ़ाया है, सोशल जस्टिस में ट्रांसजेंडर्स किसी ने इतना पढ़ाया है. यू विल आल्सो हैव टू कंपेयर इट लाइक दैट, राइट. दैट्स व्हाई ऑफिशियली आज खत्म हो रहा है. आपको 4 फुल टेस्ट मिलेंगे, 2 सेक्शनल टेस्ट मिलेंगे, 6 टेस्ट भी मिलेंगे. बट मैं हूं 8 बजे से 10 बजे तक रोज शाम को, कभी भी किसी भी रीजन से कॉल कर लो. सर एंग्जाइटी हो रही है, सर ये कहाँ से पढ़ना है, क्या करना है, आई एम देयर. सर ये पढ़ा दीजिए, प्लेसेस इन न्यूज का एक क्लास ले लीजिए, आई एम देयर, आई विल टेक दैट क्लास. सर पोस्ट मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री भी पढ़ा दीजिए, मॉडर्न तक पढ़ाया हुआ है, आई एम देयर टू टीच. भवानी सेइंग बुद्धा born in Nepal but Buddhism took birth in India. हाँ भाई पता है. ओके ओके, हाँ आई फॉरगेट द ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स, वो नाराज हो जाएंगे बेचारे. विशाखा एंड भवानी आर सेइंग पावापुरी, द प्लेस वेयर ही डाइड. लेट्स कम बैक टू दिस. तो कुशीनगर, the place where the first transgender only university has been established, first school for transgender, Sahaj International, was started in Kerala in Ernakulam district earlier. So do not confuse the two things. First university where? Kushinagar, school in Kerala. और पहले ही एस्टैब्लिश हुआ, 2019 से पहले एस्टैब्लिश हुआ. ओके, देन इंडिया वर्कप्लेस इक्वालिटी इंडेक्स. इंडिया वर्कप्लेस इक्वालिटी इंडेक्स is an index which measures in your organization LGBTQ community, not only transgenders, lesbian, gays, bisexuals, उनके लिए environment how inclusive it is. So at LevelUp, if a person comes who's a transgender and that person is able to remain normally in every aspect, no one is discriminating, no one is commenting, no one is looking at that person in that manner, his health requirements is looked after as the health requirement of other people, then we would be given high rank under this, high rating under this index. If we are not doing that, if there's a lot of discrimination, we'll be getting lower rating under this. Okay, राशि का है सर, प्लीज कवर रिमेनिंग एंशिएंट हिस्ट्री पार्ट। अरे भाई अभी डिमांड शुरू करना नहीं है, मैं डिमांड दूंगा आपको, ऑप्शन दूंगा जो मर्जी वो डिमांड करने का। अभी लेट्स फिनिश द क्लास। ओके, तो डिड यू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज इंडिया वर्कप्लेस इक्वालिटी इंडेक्स? नाउ broadly they may ask you a question. India workplace equality index is measuring the workplace inclusivity in terms of women inclusiveness, disabled के लिए, transgenders के लिए, and all of them could have been named this. All those indexes could have been named this, but this index is for LGBT community, transgenders. This index is for them. Fine, कोई डाउट नहीं है इसमें? तो it is country's first comprehensive benchmarking tool for employers to measure their progress in LGBT plus inclusion at the workplace. Now, it is not also something that has been done by Government of India. It's an initiative by a non-profit or non-profit organization called Keshav Suri Foundation. Keshav Suri is a well-known hotelier and an activist. उनका एक foundation है Keshav Suri Foundation, which has partnered with Pride Circle, Stonewall UK, and FICCI, the Federation of India के industries का Chamber of Commerce का वो है, and they have come together with this initiative. In the first report which they published, they ranked 65 companies and gave them rating of gold, silver and bronze based on how inclusive those companies were. Okay, they used 9 such parameters to decide this inclusivity. These parameters are policies and benefits, company policies and company benefits, transgenders के लिए वो inclusive है या नहीं, employee life cycle, employee network group, allies and role models, senior leadership, monitoring, procurement, community engagement and additional work. On these basis, on these areas, on these 9 areas, this ranking is fine. So India workplace equality index. Understood? Now, we have already covered this. We have already covered the rules. Let's go to homosexual. I hope you have understood the difference between transgenders and homosexuals. Right? Now, who are homosexuals? Homosexuals, people who, let's say, a male liking a male, a female liking a female, a transgender liking a transgender. That person can also be considered homosexual. A transgender who identifies himself as male, likes another male. Homosexuality. A transgender who identifies herself as female and likes another female. That's also homosexuality. ये मन ही मन में मुस्कुरा रही है, हाँ ऐसे मध्यम मध्यम. Did you understand? That is homosexuality. Now, India में homosexuality was a criminal offense. Was, I'm saying was, not is. It was a criminal offense under Section 377 of IPC. Why? Section 377 said or punished, criminalized voluntary carnal intercourse against order of nature. So, male doing it with male was considered against order of nature and thus was criminal offense. Female doing it with a female was considered against the order of the nature and thus was a criminal offense. So, it was Section 377 of IPC which made homosexuality a criminal offense. In fact, if you look at the exact wordings, you will see whoever voluntarily has carnal intercourse against the order of nature with man or with women or animal shall be punished with imprisonment for life or imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 10 years or shall also be liable to fine. Now, this against the order of nature was kind of controversial, saying कि male attracted to another male is against the order of nature and thus उस person को 10 साल के लिए जेल में भेज दिया जाएगा was outrageous. This provision is also used by in case there is some separation between couples. So even this charge is used by females against the male कि he made me do unnatural things in bed. Section 377 is also misused there. Anal sex can be considered unnatural. Natural should be for birth. So that may be considered unnatural. Oral sex may be considered unnatural. And those things could be declared as criminal offense under section 377 of IPC. Fine. पहली बात. दूसरा, when let's say there are two guys who like each other, A and A, how their life evolved. They liked each other right from 1980s. आदित्य आप तो पैदा भी नहीं हुए थे, आकाश भी पैदा नहीं हुआ था. Still, they liked each other from 1980s. So I'm not talking about you people. But from 1980s to 2009, they could not do anything legally. It was a criminal offense in India. But in 2009, in Naz Foundation versus Government of NCT of Delhi case, the High Court of Delhi declared section 377, not the whole of section 377, section 377 insofar as it criminalizes consensual sexual acts of adults in private is violative of Article 14, 15, 19 and 21. So Delhi High Court did not say that section 377 is unconstitutional. Section 377 is preventing you from unnatural sex. तो आप जाके किसी जानवर के साथ कर रहे हो, that is unnatural. That is still an offense under section 377 of IPC. But what did Delhi High Court say in 2009? 2009 Delhi High Court said that section 377 insofar as it criminalizes consensual sexual act of adults in private. प्राइवेट में दो एडल्ट्स कंसेंशुअल सेक्स कर रहे हैं, उसको क्रिमिनलाइज जितना सेक्शन वो कर रहा है, all that is violative of Article 14, 15, 19 and 21 of the Constitution and thus is violative of the Constitution. So these two A's till 2009 were unhappy. Their love was legal. But from 2009, they were all. But then came 2013 Kaushal judgment of Supreme Court. Suresh Kumar Kaushal versus Naz Foundation. Here Supreme Court said that no, section 377 is not unconstitutional. And if any change has to be made, that would be made by Parliament. They also use terms like a very minuscule minority may be getting harassed because of this law. On those grounds, they again said section 377 is okay and made the life of these two A's difficult from 2013 to 2018. Just imagine, कोई दो बंदे हैं या दो बंदियां हैं for that matter, they want to follow the law of the country. So till 2009 they could not. 2009 to 13 they were happily living together, enjoying their life. Then for 2013 their life changed. We are controlling their lives. How illogical is that? So in 2018, in the Navtej Singh Johar case, Navtej Singh Johar versus the Supreme Court reversed the Kaushal judgment of 2013 and decriminalized homosexuality. And this time Supreme Court gave very elaborate arguments for why homosexuality cannot be a criminal offense. So we'll talk about those arguments, but पहले ये तीन judgment, Naz Foundation, Kaushal case and Navtej Singh Johar case. You should know about these three judgments very. Naz Foundation case, the first one, Delhi High Court wala, Kaushal judgment, Suresh Kumar Kaushal, जिसमें Supreme Court recriminalized homosexuality, criminalized homosexuality again. And then Navdeep Singh Johar. So this name, this Supreme Court judgment is associated with which of the following? तो वो आपको पता. Young Lawyers Association किस केस से रिलेटेड था? वही हमने रिसेंटली पढ़ा था. सबरीमाला एंट्री, आई थिंक टेम्पल एंट्री वाला था, राइट? Now, what did Supreme Court say? Supreme Court said sexual orientation is natural. And even before Supreme Court said this, when 2011 I was doing a course on Coursera. This guy who has written these books, Sapiens and Homo Deus. Sapiens was published much later, but he was teaching that course earlier and the book was already available in German. तो वो Sapiens करके एक कोर्स करा रहे थे. He gave a very basic and simple argument. He said, look at two people who are gay. This person has been made by nature. This person has been made by nature. They touch each other. They like each other. That has to be natural. How can that be unnatural? Because nature has made them like this. Today, Aditya touches Akash, they would not like it if they are not gay. So it's natural for them. For those two guys, natural is that. They may not like being with a girl. The definition of natural is that. If they're doing something without harming anyone else and are enjoying it, it means that the nature has made them like that they would enjoy that. And something similar, Supreme Court said. Sexual attraction for the same sex is controlled by neurological and biological factors. CGI said, what nature gives is natural. And the natural identity of an individual should be treated to be absolutely essential to his being. If I like a male, that's my natural identity. That is essential, absolutely essential for my being, for my identity. It cannot just be taken away. कि नहीं तुझे तो बंदी पसंद करनी पड़ेगी. No. Push the बहुत. Then the Supreme Court also said that research shows that sexual orientation is decided very early, possibly even before birth. Homosexuality is found in about 10% of population, and homosexuality has been documented in 1500 species. Not only human beings, it has been documented in more than 1500 species. हम unnatural कर रहे हैं, but they are natural. No, so nature has made them. It means homosexuality is also natural. Okay, then they said that Section 377 violates LGBT's right to equality, violates their prohibition against discrimination, it violates their right to freedom, including freedom of choice. Also, right to equality कैसे? I like a girl, I like a boy, I want to live with that boy. Someone else likes a girl, he wants to live with that girl. He is allowed, I am not allowed. Same law is discriminating against what I want to do, what the other person wants to do. Discriminating against my liking than the other person's liking. Violates right to life. Okay, Section 377 leads to harassment of LGBT community. Now what happens? Like you may have seen this movie Aligarh, where Manoj Vajpayee was shown as a gay person. He was harassed because that's something that was considered illegal in the country. Right? Police would also harass. If police, let's say, I'm a homosexual and in the country, homosexuality is illegal. If police knows it, पता है मुझे तो क्या कर रहा था? Police would also try to harass me to extract money out of me. But if homosexuality is legal, if Section 377 does not criminalize homosexuality, when the police comes and says, पता है मुझे क्या कर रहा था? I would say, ठीक है, पता रख ले. Right? So, harassment ka scope also reduces if Section 377 is decriminalized. Then homosexuality is decriminalized. Then the Constitution, the Supreme Court said something very important. They said that constitutional morality is more important than social morality. And this is something that you can use in this quote is something that you can use in almost any answer, any important Supreme Court judgment which is talking about social reforms. Constitutional morality is more important than social morality. कैसे? Constitutional principles are more important than what society wants. This is what they're saying. So society may not accept homosexuality today. Society, majority of Indians would not accept homosexuality. But do we have to go according to that? No. We have to go according to the Constitution. Even if 99%, even if 100% of citizens of India tomorrow vote that homosexuality should not be legalized, even then, the constitutional principle of right to equality is more important than that social. Getting the point? Constitutional morality is more important than social morality. Majority और social morality को हम majoritarian consensus भी बोल रहे हैं. Social morality or what the majority society thinks cannot be used to violate the right of even one single individual. And that's why 2013 Kaushal judgment which said that minuscule minorities are getting affected, even they are not allowed to get affected. Even if a single person's right is getting violated because of this law is unconstitutional. एक single person का right भी violate नहीं. The court also added that society owes an apology to LGBTQ community. Transgenders, homosexuals. So it is जो हमने इंडेक्स पढ़ा है ना, इंडिया वर्क इक्वालिटी इंडेक्स वाला, that index is not specifically only for transgenders, that is for whole LGBTQ community. अब तो पता है LGBTQ प्लस बोलते हैं because the variations are going up. LGBTQIA plus, IA intersex, A is asexual people. So A is attracted to another boy. Lesbian is a female attracted to another female. Heterogeneous is a male attracted to female, a female attracted to male. Asexual is no attraction. Asexual people कोई पसंद नहीं है भाई. Those people are asexual. And they also exist. So they are part of this LGBTQIA. जो हम ट्रेडिशनल में मेल और फीमेल में डिवीजन उनका रोल असाइन कर दे रहे हैं ना, उनसे बाहर कोई भी आ रहा है, उनसे डिफरेंट कोई भी है, दे आर पार्ट ऑफ दिस LGBTQIA plus community. Okay, now conversion therapy. So first let's understand conversion therapy before we go to the judgment explaining conversion therapy. So you must be knowing about some highly foolish babas who say that they can treat homosexuality, right? Super foolish babas, you may be knowing about them. That is, some doctors would also be there. अरे हम treatment कर देंगे इसकी. Homosexuality is not a disease. It cannot be treated. It's not a disease. It cannot be treated. So conversion therapy किसे बोलते हैं? It's a pseudo medical practice that falsely profess. We are not calling it a medical practice. It's a pseudo medical practice that falsely profess to be able to change sexual orientation of a member of LGBTQIA community. उसमें they give you therapies, they give you hormones, they give you अनाप शनाप दवाइयां which are highly dangerous, which are highly harmful and does not serve any purpose. A gay would remain a gay. A gay cannot be made heterosexual or lesbian. So gay is a general term actually. Gay is used for both lesbians and male liking a male. So in conversion therapy, victims are subjected to various forms of physical and emotional abuse and are highly harmful. UN का एक independent study है which has shown that when someone goes through this conversion therapy, in 98% of those cases, lasting damages happen, which leads to depression, anxiety, permanent physical harm, and so on. Recently, the Madras High Court has explicitly called for an Indian ban on conversion therapy. It is said that legal action should also be taken against people who practice it. I do not know why the legal action is not taken against Baba who claim ki मैं treatment कर दूंगा homosexual. And in this, the court was echoing the United Kingdom pledge in May to outlaw conversion therapy. United Kingdom in May 2021 had announced that they would be outlawing conversion therapy. The Madras High Court has said that India should also, there should be an Indian ban on conversion therapy also. Fine. Transgenders, homosexuality. I've tried to cover each and everything which is there. छोटे छोटे schemes, programs वो सब भी करे हैं. गरिमा गृह and portal and rules and laws and anything. So in the examination, if something else is there which you feel अरे हमें नहीं आता, don't get worried, किसी को नहीं आता होगा. जितना ट्रांसजेंडर और ये पढ़ लिया आपने उतना किसी ने नहीं पढ़ा है. Okay, तो chill. When you in the examination hall, when you see a question, you feel like कि हमें नहीं आता, chill, किसी को नहीं आता हो. Do the standard sources, do the current affairs that we are doing, that's enough. Just imagine 70 बुकलेट्स तो हमने टारगेट प्री पे दे दिए हैं, फिर हिस्ट्री के भी हैं, मेंस वाले भी हैं, पॉलिटी के मेंस वाले, राइट? इतना किसी ने पढ़ा होगा क्या? नहीं पढ़ा. व्हाट इज मोर इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू? आप इसे पढ़ते रहो अच्छे से, अपने स्टैंडर्ड बुक्स कंप्लीट करो. आई विल कीप गिविंग सम अपडेट्स, आई विल कीप गोइंग थ्रू द साइंस एंड टेक अपडेट्स एंड एवरीथिंग. आई विल कीप गिविंग यू दोज अपडेट्स. वी कीप study material would only be this. You will not need to do anything else. Okay. Disabled. Another vulnerable group in social justice that we want to cover. Achha, by the way, see, there are some groups, vulnerable groups. For example, women, for which we have separate ministry, Ministry of Women and Child Development. For children, we have Ministry of Women and Child Development. But in general, vulnerable groups come under Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. So transgenders के लिए जो initiative लिए जा रहे थे, it was Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment taking it. Disabled के लिए, elderlies के लिए, generally it would be Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Sometimes Ministry of Health may be taking some steps. Sometimes Ministry of Rural Development may be taking some steps. Rural areas में जो elderlies रह रहे हैं, that would be there. But in general, it will be Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Fine. So let's do this. Disabled. How many people who are disabled are there in the country? As per 2011 census, 2.21% of the population. Now this 2.21% was 2.68 crore in 2011, which included 2.41% of male and 2.01% of female with persons with female who are person with disability. But again, these numbers are highly understated for a number of reasons. One is the definition of disability itself has increased, broadened like anything since then. In 2011, we were following the 1995. In 1995, we had a law, Person with Disability Act, and it had identified 7 forms of disability. But now we have a different law which has 21 different types of disability, and government has been empowered to include more things in the definition of disability. So one reason we are saying that this is gross underestimation is not enough number of disabilities were covered here. The number of disabilities have been enhanced. Second reason we are saying that it's an underestimation is people are not able to identify various disabilities or are not able to express or tell various forms of disability. आज हम देखेंगे when we talk about disability, we perhaps say someone who doesn't have a feet, someone who doesn't have a hand, someone who cannot speak, someone who cannot see, someone who cannot hear. But autism, a form of disability. Person is physically normal, eyes normal, ears normal, is able to speak. But there are some neural disorders and all, because of which autism is also a form of disability. There are various other forms of disabilities which are not identified properly, and thus this number is this 2.68 crore or 2.21%. Percentage is a better number because उस time country का population कुछ और था, 2.21% led to 2.68 crore. Now Today, country's population is much larger, so this number would be much larger. Now, what is there a constitutional provision which specifically talk about disabled? So yes, in DPSP Article 41, it has been said that a state shall, within the limit of its economic capacity and development, make effective provisions for right to education, right to work, education, and public assistance for vulnerable groups. Which vulnerable group? Unemployed, old age, sick, disabled people. So disabled people, state should make efforts to provide them work, to provide them education, to provide them public, to the extent of, to the limits of its economic capacity and development. It's not a fundamental right. Eventually, it would also be made a fundamental right as country develops. All those things which are in DPSPs would eventually be moved to fundamental rights. Why did we need a DPSP? Because state did not have, government did not have enough resources. So we had included a lot of those things in DPSPs. Right? Like in the last class we talked about education, right to education for children. Right? Article 21A. Article 21A earlier was part of Article 45. With socio-economic development, we realize that now we are capable of providing free and compulsory education for children in the age group of 6 to 14 years of age. So we decided to move it to fundamental right. So this kind of thing would happen for these things also. So Article 41 of the Constitution, disabled के लिए, elderlies के लिए, you'll see यहाँ पे elderlies भी हैं, old age. For them, state should make efforts to provide them work, to provide them education, to provide them assistance. Constitution बोलता है. तो देखो, अब now when you are writing answer in the mains examination, no, you can always introduce your answer with Article 41 if it's a question on disability. So Article 40, question कुछ भी आए कि law is not being implemented properly, or in spite of many laws and provisions, people with disability still face a lot of discrimination. Analyze. If this is the question, even there, you can always start with Article 41 of the Constitution. Ask government to take these steps for people with disability. But in spite of these many laws and everything, not happening. Why it's not happening? What should be done to make it happen? This would be the general structure of your answer, but you can always start with Article 41 of the Constitution. Parul Agrawal is asking, sir, vulnerable section is under which list? बेटा vulnerable section किसी लिस्ट के अंदर नहीं है. देखो हेल्थ लिस्ट में होता है, एजुकेशन लिस्ट में होता है, ऐसे लिस्ट में नहीं कि माइनॉरिटीज एक लिस्ट में है, vulnerable section दलित से एक लिस्ट में है, वो नहीं होता है. ओके. Then 11th and 12th schedule of the Constitution, which are assigning responsibilities for local bodies, urban local bodies or rural local bodies, Panchayati Raj institutions and municipalities, they are also giving them the responsibilities of ensuring welfare and safeguarding the interest of person with disability among other weaker. तो दो जगह कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है जहां पे डिसेबल्ड और डिसेबिलिटीज वाले लोगों के बेनिफिट्स के बारे में बोला गया है. Okay, now institutions. So there's a department for empowerment of person with disability under Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Let's come to the act. As we were saying, in 1995 there was an act, Person with Disabilities Act, that has been replaced. I'm not saying amended. It has been replaced by Right of Person with Disability Act 2016. How is this act different from the 1995 Act? What are the key changes that have been made? That's something that we want to look at. The first thing is, this law is recognizing disability as a fluid and shifting concept. Now, देखो एग्जाम में ये स्टेटमेंट आ गया कि 2016 law is describing disability as a fluid and shifting concept. You will not be 100% sure unless you understand the meaning of fluid and shifting. What is meant by fluid and shifting? Something which keeps on changing its shape. So definition of disability also, ये नहीं कि ये देख नहीं सकता, ये चल नहीं सकता, ये बोल नहीं सकता, तो those are straight jacket. We cannot straight jacket disability in that manner. We have kept the definition of disability in a very broad. or we have given it a very broad meaning. Anything which is hindering a person to fully get involved in the society may be a form of disability. So right now, disability has been defined as a evolving and dynamic concept. Rather than having only 7 kinds of disability, the new act provides for 21 different kinds of disability. In 1995, we had 7 kinds of disability. Now we have 21 different kinds of disability, which includes cerebral palsy, hemophilia, multiple sclerosis, autism, thalassemia, disability from acid attacks. This is important. Parkinson's disease. These things were not included in the definition of disability. And above this, center has the power to add more types of disability. Law में amend करने की जरूरत नहीं होगी. Tomorrow, some new disease comes, which is hindering people from effectively participating in the society. That may also be a form of disability which center can just add into the list. The law has provided for 21 different kinds. So उसमें mobility related disability, eyes related disability, hearing related disabilities, all those things are there. But there are various new forms of disability which is there. Then these people with disability have been provided with various rights. What are the rights that they have been given? अच्छा, before I get into this, कोई doubt वगैरह है? Rights of people with disability. अच्छा, आज मैंने टेलीग्राम चैनल पे नोट्स डाले थे कि नहीं? टेलीग्राम पे, व्हाट्सएप पे तो आई हैव डन इट. I do not know about टेलीग्राम. Did I forget? हाँ, टेलीग्राम पे भी डाला है? Okay. हाँ. So now this law is also providing for certain rights for people with disability. So our constitution has already provided them various rights. They are also citizens. They have all the rights which we have, but some special provisions have been provided for them. For example, the law says that public building, hospitals, transport, polling stations, etc. should be having disabled friendly access. It also says that 4% reservation in higher education, in government jobs, in allocation of schemes, programs, land, poverty alleviation schemes, etc. should be given to people with disability. Then they also have right to free education. Now, right to free education तो बाकी लोगों को भी है, but other people have right to free education in the age group of 6 to 14 years of age. They have been given right to free education from 6 to 18 years of age. Note it carefully. So it's not only till 14 years में मान लो कि बच्चा 8, 9, 10 तक जा रहा है. They will be till class 12. They are being provided free education. And then government funded institutions or government recognized institutions have also been asked to provide inclusive education for children with disabilities. Okay, then the law is also providing for guardianship of mentally ill person. It basically says that एक mentally ill person या तो limited guardianship किसी को दिया जा सकता है जो उस person के साथ coordinate करके would be taking decision, or a plenary guardianship could be given. Let's say I'm disabled, my brother can be given complete guardianship, decision related to me can be taken by him, or it could be a limited guardianship, that is we'll take decision in coordination with each other. Then social focus related चीजें हैं, higher penalties for discrimination against disabled when compared to 1995 Act. Now discrimination can send you to jail for 2 years. Institutional framework have been improved. Now you would see that, state advisory boards on disability and center advisory board on disability were already there as per 1995 Act. But now, Office of Chief Commissioner of Person with Disability was already there in the 1995 Act also. It is here also, but this has now been strengthened. For example, you would see that this Chief Commissioner would be assisted by 2 commissioners and an advisory committee also. Similarly, they have provided for setting up of advisory boards on disability, both at the central level and the state level. So this has been established. So now again, this is a statutory body. Note it carefully. This advisory board on person with disability is a statutory body. The law is providing for it. Then Chief Commissioner of Person with Disability and the State Commissioner would act as regulatory bodies and grievance redressal agencies for people with disability. There is provision for special court. Special court would be designated in each district to handle cases concerning the violation of rights of people with disability. Now, please note, it's not exclusive special court. It's a special court. Understand the difference. Exclusive special court क्या होता? उसमें only cases related to Persons with Disability Act would have gone. Only. But when it's not exclusive special court, it's only special court, it means cases related to person with disability would go to this court, but other cases may also go to this. But if we had formed exclusive special court, then only this could have gone there. Generally, क्या होगा? There would not be a lot of cases related to this. So making one court exclusive for this would be wasting resources. So, and therefore, we do not have exclusive court. We have special court. The law has provided for special courts. So see, एक बार आपने ये चीजें सुनी ना क्लास में, एक बार पढ़ा, तो even in exam they ask you things in depth ऐसे, जैसे मैटरनिटी बेनिफिट एक्ट पे they had asked questions nitty gritties में जाके. Even if they do, you have read it once or twice, you would know, नहीं ये तो पढ़ा है मैंने. Special court provisions are there. And then logically you will think those courts were not exclusive because sir had said कि इतने सारे cases disability related नहीं जाएंगे. It would be wastage of resources. Right? Now come to schemes, programs related to person with disability. तो एक तो है Scheme for Implementation of Person with Disabilities Act. जो एक्ट है उसके इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के लिए जो स्कीम बनाया जा रहा है, स्कीम फॉर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ पर्सन विद डिसेबिलिटी एक्ट. इट्स एन अम्ब्रेला स्कीम which is run by Department for Empowerment of Person with Disability, and under this financial assistance is provided for what purpose? For implementation of the act. So improving infrastructure, creation of barrier free environment, that is हमारे around infrastructure accessible हो उन सब चीजों के लिए. For example, schemes provided for ramps, rails, lift, toilets, etc. are included here. Then there is Sugamya Bharat campaign. Sugamya Bharat, Sugamya is accessible. Bharat is India. The Accessible India campaign. India should be accessible for people with disability. And for that, 3 areas of accessibility is being looked under Sugamya Bharat campaign. One is built up environment. Built up environment means infrastructure around us. LevelUp IS, it's an institution. Would a person with disability be able to access it easily? Sugamya Bharat would decide that. Transportation ecosystem. Would a person with disability be easily able to travel in transportation system? Information and communication ecosystem. These 3 broad areas are being made accessible under Sugamya Bharat, another initiative under the Department of or under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Then Inclusiveness and Accessibility Index. This is an initiative under Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan only. Under Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan, the industries index hai, the industries are being given a score, how accessible you are to people with disability. Then we have Deen Dayal Disabled Rehabilitation Scheme, DDRS. DDRS mein NGOs are provided with financial assistance to run projects for rehabilitation of person with disability. Fine. Then ADIP, Assistance to Disabled Person for Purchase and Fitting of AIDS Appliances. Again, name will tell you. People with disability may need some advanced aid. Deaf aid ले जा सकता है या फिर for movement, for mobility, they may need some aid. For that, ADIP scheme it is being implemented through NGOs, through various national institutions under ministry and LMCO. LMCO is a PSU which makes these things, makes these infrastructure. So through this, the people with disability are being provided with these specialized ADIP scheme. Then there is some recent MOUs which were signed. Abhi MOU was signed between ISLRTC and NCRT. NCRT आपको पता है स्टडी मटेरियल बनाता है आपके लिए दोनों. Let's see what ISLRTC is first. What is ISLRTC? India Sign Language Research and Training Center. India Sign Language Research and Training Center. So what does it do? It is dedicated to the task of developing manpower for popularizing the Indian Sign Language, teaching and conducting research. तो इंडियन साइन लैंग्वेज को पॉपुलराइज करना है, उसे टीच करना है, उस पर रिसर्च कंडक्ट करना है. फॉर दैट इट डेवलप्स ह्यूमन रिसोर्स. नाउ व्हेन एनसीईआरटी एंड ISLRTC is signing some MOU, what would it be on? NCERT, you are producing various study material, will convert it in sign language so that people who cannot hear would be able to. Then MOU related to that was signed in October 2020. What is the MOU saying? To make educational material available for deaf children in preferred format of communication, that is Indian Sign Language. So deaf children should be able to access the study material, the Indian Sign Language. An MOU related to this has been signed. Now note two things. ISLRTC is an autonomous national institution under DEPWD, Department for Empowerment of People with Person with Disability, right? Which is under Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Common sense. NCERT is an autonomous institution under Ministry of Education or Ministry of Human Resource Development, whose purpose is ensuring qualitative improvement in school education. अब देखो NCERT के कॉलेज के बुक्स नहीं आते. NCERT books are for the school level. You have never had NCERT BA history की पढ़ लेना. NCERT class 12 की तक की पढ़ते हो, so it's for school education. How does it do it? By undertaking and promoting research in areas related to school education, prepare and publish model textbooks. Their primary work. Supplementary material, newsletters, journals, and develop educational kits, multimedia, digital material, etc. for this, and act as a nodal agency for achieving goals of universalization of elementary education. Please note this very, very carefully. It acts as nodal agency for achieving the goals of universalization of elementary. Okay, so this MOU was signed recently. आपसे you may be asked a question about ISLRTC, or you may be asked a question about this MOU as such. If they want to ask you a question on disability, देखो, highest priority of a question being asked on disability would be from the Act. Though the Act is 2016 का, but सबसे ज़्यादा priority उस Act का है, and that's why I covered Act in a lot of detail. After that, a scheme or a program or initiative which is there in last 1 year, that may get up. So I've given you all the schemes which are in force right now related to disability, but priority किसे देना है? सबसे पहले तो Act को. Even if it's 10 years old, what are the provisions there? And then last 1 year में जो चीजें हो रही है, this is something that has happened in last 1 year. Okay, now all eligible persons with disability under National Food Security Act. What are we saying? National Food Security Act is implemented by Ministry of Consumer and Ministry of Food है ना, उसका पूरा नाम क्या है? Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. They have recently issued directions to states and union territories to include all eligible disabled person with disability under NFS. August 2020 में they have directed all the states and union territories. The Food Security Act में के अंदर, the Food Security Act में 66% of the population is covered, 75% in rural area and 50% in urban area, something like this है ना. Food Security Act में this is roughly the distribution. I do not know the exact quote, but a big chunk of India's population is covered. They have said include all people with disability. Do that. So why are they saying it? Who gives them the right? National Food Security Act itself says that central government may from time to time give direction to state government for effective implementation of the act. Central government from time to time for effective implementation of National Food Security Act give direction to state. As per that power, the department has given direction to state that all disabled persons who are eligible as per the identification criteria of the beneficiaries under NFSA should be covered under NFSFA and get entitled quota of food grains under National Food Security Act and under प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण अन्न योजना also. इसके अंदर 5 kg पर पर्सन दिया जा रहा था वो. So that was said here under this. Okay, then in July 2020, a judgment came which said that disabled are entitled for all the benefits which SC/ST are entitled for, which scheduled caste and scheduled tribe people are entitled for. Now, what was this? इसका थोड़ा background समझो. In Delhi Technological University एक बच्चा था, was disabled. उसके लिए cut off marks was 40, but for SC/ST students the cut off marks was 35. So the guardian of Anmol Bhandari went to court, then to higher court, that people with disability should get as much concession, as much benefits which SC/ST are getting. So in this judgment, a 3-judge bench led by Justice Rohinton Nariman upheld the 2012 judgment of the Delhi High Court in Anmol Bhandari through his father, natural guardian versus Delhi Technological University in a significant decision. They upheld the judgment of Delhi High Court. Delhi High Court ने क्या judgment दिया था? That people with disability will get equal rights as SC/ST. तो उनका अगर SC/ST का फीस people with disability से कम है, तो people with disability would also have lesser. Okay, then something very old. 2016 में we started using the term Divyang rather than Viklang, just to boost up the confidence and change the mindset towards people with disability. Then there's an Operation Blue Freedom, Land World Record at Siachen. ये पढ़ा है क्या मैंने अभी? नहीं पढ़ा है ना? Environment में नहीं पढ़ाया था. This was an initiative related to people with disability which was in news. You will understand this. What is it? See, before we go to Operation Blue Freedom, Land World Record at Siachen Glacier, let's understand about CLAW. What CLAW is? CLAW Global. CLAW Global is an India-based organization which was established by Major Vivek Jacob. It's an India-based organization which was established by Major Vivek Jacob. Now, Vivek Jacob is an ex-Indian Army person who had spinal cord injury, who got injured while serving. His movements got drastically impacted. So, एक learning आया कि because of this, my movement getting drastically impacted, my life has been affected drastically. A lot of people have been affected in that manner. So, I have to encourage all these people to participate in adventurous activities to get more encouragement towards various aspects of life. For this purpose, he established CLAW Global. CLAW का full form है Conquer Land, Air, Water. Now, the goal of CLAW is Operation Blue Freedom. What is Operation Blue Freedom? A dedication to giving people with disabilities more opportunities to engage in adventurous activities and thereby improve on their physiological and psychological. So, people with disabilities should be able to get more chances of getting involved in physical activities. And through this, overall aim is they should be rehabilitating people with disabilities through adaptive adventurous activities. इसके लिए for 2021 they have planned Operation Blue Freedom Triple Elemental World Record. 3 element. कौन से? Land, Air, Water. Triple Element World Record बनाना है. That is attempting those feats which have not been attempted by other disabled people in the past in terms of land, in terms of air, in terms of water. तो इनका जो land world record है उसमें what they are trying to do, Operation Blue Freedom Land World Record, they are trying to reach Siachen Glacier. They are trying to trek up to Kumar Post of the Siachen Glacier, which will be a new world record as people with disability themselves have not trekked there. The whole team will consist of people with disability. It was in news in PIB because government of India had permitted a team of people with disability to scale Siachen. Now remember, the name is CLOG Global. So participants from anywhere could participate, but here only Indians have been allowed because Siachen is a sensitive area. Here only Indians have been allowed. तो क्लॉग ग्लोबल का ऑपरेशन ब्लू फ्रीडम का लैंड वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड सियाचिन ग्लेशियर के कुमार पोस्ट तक पहुंचने का है, वेयर इंडियंस ओनली एक्सपेडिशन में पीपल विद डिसेबिलिटी वुड बी रीचिंग. इट वाज आल्सो समथिंग दैट वाज इन न्यूज़ इन अगस्त. पढ़ा देते, पता नहीं क्या मन कर जाए यूपीएससी का पूछने. नॉट समथिंग ह्यूज, जस्ट लुक एट द थिंग्स व्हिच हैव बीन अंडरलाइंड, यू विल बी एबल टू रिवाइज इट इन 10 seconds. But if there's a chance of it getting asked, you'll be at higher pedestal. Okay. Now, अच्छा, international efforts भी है कुछ. So there's a UN Convention for Rights of Person with Disability, which was passed in 2006. It is because of this UN Convention that we had to change our law. 1995 Act को हमने 2006 में change किया था. You would see that some major changes happened here. In this convention. Here, how disability has been defined. It outlines disability as resulting from the interaction between persons with impairment and attitudinal and environmental barriers that hinder the full effective participation in society and equal on an equal basis with others. Note it carefully. What is this? What is the saying? They're saying that disability is the interaction between persons with impairment. I have some impairment. This person, when this person is interacting with attitudinal and environmental barriers. आपके चारों तरफ आपका physical infrastructure ऐसा बनाए कि मैं use नहीं कर सकता, and then society, social attitude is like disabled. You would not be able to. So disability is barrier in this interaction, barrier created because of this interaction. So if we change our attitude and if we change our environment, then disability would, impairment would not be there. Like, who decided that only people with 2 legs should be able to use road, should be able to use stairs, should be able to go to 3rd floor? It is the infrastructure around us that we have developed considering only people with 2 legs in mind. If we had created infrastructure, anyone should be able to use it. Everyone in society should be able to use it. Every human being should be able to use it. Then this person would not have faced difficulty in walking. So what is disability? Disability is not some problem with that guy. Disability is with our environment. Our environment is such that we are discriminating. Fine. So this in many ways marks a shift from medical model to social model. Medical model, इसमें ये प्रॉब्लम है, ये प्रॉब्लम है, उससे सोशल मॉडल, डिसेबिलिटी इज मोर ऑफ अ सोशल प्रॉब्लम. सोसाइटी हमारी जैसी है, उसकी वजह से डिसेबिलिटी. फाइन. ओके. देन देयर इज इंटरनेशनल डे फॉर पर्सन विद डिसेबिलिटी. तो 3 दिसंबर को होता है. प्लीज करेक्ट दिस. मैंने आपके नोट्स में थीम्स फॉर 2019 ही डाल दिया है गलती से. Updated with themes for 2020. Theme for 2020. For 2020, the theme is building back better towards a disability inclusive, accessible and sustainable post COVID-19 world. Building back better towards a disability inclusive, accessible and sustainable post COVID-19 world. Fine. So Bhavani is saying कि they have reached, ये जो हाँ वो आज पहुंच गए हैं सियाचिन के उस पोस्ट पे, आज वो न्यूज में. Is also sending some image. विश्व रिकॉर्ड विकलांगों ने किया सियाचिन ग्लेशियर पर 15,632 फीट ऊंची पोस्ट फतेह। वैसे यू आर नॉट अलाउड टू सेंड इमेजेस लाइक दिस। Fine, updated. Okay, then there's also a World Autism Awareness Day, 2nd April every year. It is held and it is pioneered by National Autistic Society of United Kingdom. तो इस साल का यहाँ का भी थीम है Inclusion in Workplace, Challenges and Opportunities in a Post-Pandemic Work. Please update it if it's not updated there. वो है क्या ये आपके नोट्स में? Okay, okay, great. Now let's go to elderlies. बड़े बूढ़े लोग. When we're talking about elderlies, there are few facts about elderly population of India that you should know for your preliminary exam. Prelims के लिए याद रखोगे तो मेंस के लिए अपने आप याद रह जाएगा. And in prelims you'll be able to eliminate things. India has the second largest elderly population. तो देखो, India is considered a young nation. हमारा average age कम है, a lot of our population is young, but our population is so huge that even when there is 8.6% people who are more than 60, that is second largest in the world. Largest elderly population कहाँ का होगा? चाइना. Population देखो ना चाइना का. I'm not talking about percentage. I'm talking about India में. I'm not talking about percentage में. It is the second largest. I'm saying overall population wise, elderly population wise, it is second largest. Largest would that be of China? They have higher population and they have more elderly population. उन्होंने 1980 से population control किया, right? हमने नहीं किया, तो हमारे percentage of elderly कम हो गए क्योंकि young ज्यादा हो गए, उनके percentage भी ज्यादा है and population भी. And life expectancy there is higher. The elderlies are able to live longer when compared to India. तो logically सोचा करो, ऐसे सब कुछ पढ़ाने की जरूरत नहीं है कि China has the largest elderly population. India second largest, by default China becomes largest. Okay, then there's a few more things. 71% of elderlies live in rural areas. The ruralization of elderly एक term use होता है because the younger generation coming to urban areas, वो laborers के फॉर्म में काम करने आ जा रहे हैं जब कुछ नहीं मिल रहा है, रिक्शा चला रहे हैं. Elderlies are someone who are left back in rural areas. And then this is a section of population which suffers a lot, is a silent segment against बहुत problems हैं. Constitutional provision, same article 41, which was talking about disabled, is also talking about elderlies, old age, right? Policy schemes program में सबसे पहले है we have national policy for older person 1999. यहाँ पे भी Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment came up with this national policy for ensuring well-being of older persons. Under this, the focus was on ensuring financial security, healthcare, shelter, re-employment opportunities for elderly people, and concessional rail airfares, and so on. We're not getting in a lot of details, but you should know that we have a national policy. Abhi bhi this is the policy in force. There are demands for updating this policy, so it remains in news. Socio-economic conditions have changed, requirements have changed. You should know that we have national policy for older people 1999. ये आपके नोट्स में भी ऐसे शिफ्ट हो गया क्या हेडिंग? अरे यार ये कैसे हो गया? This heading is not here, it has shifted on this. But national policy for older people. Okay, then Indira Gandhi National Old Age Pensions. First thing that you have to notice, it is by Ministry of Rural Development, not Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. It gives pension to BPL elderlies, only BPL elderlies, and जो ज्यादा बूढ़ा है उसको ज्यादा पैसे दिए जा रहे हैं. The monthly income is rupees 200 for people who are up to 79 years of age. People who are above 80 years of age, their monthly pension is 500. In reality, they get a bit higher because states also contribute. State governments have their own pension schemes and all, and they contribute. Fine. अब मैं आपसे पूछने वाला हूं, थोड़ा ध्यान से पढ़ो, मैं पूछ लूंगा. ओके, आखिरी आखिरी तक आते आते आप लोग ऐसे जल्दी खत्म होने वाले मोड में चले जाते हो। राष्ट्रीय वायोश्री योजना, दीज आर लाइक पिछले 2-3 साल वाले हैं, तो यहाँ से और ज्यादा फोकस करना है। राष्ट्रीय वायोश्री योजना। अच्छा, बाय द वे प्लीज नोट वन थिंग, व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट old age Indira Gandhi old age pension scheme, that pension scheme is available to citizens as well as to refugees. It's also available for refugees. Note it carefully. Rashtriya Vayoshri Yojana. So this is a central sector scheme under Department of Justice and Social Welfare to provide BPL seniors suffering from age-related disability with assisted living devices, which can restore the normalcy of functioning of their body. For example, walking sticks, elbow crutches, walker crutches, tripods, quad pods, hearing aid, wheelchairs, all these things are provided free of cost to BPL category of elderlies. Vayoshri, Rashtriya Vayoshri Yojana, Department of Social Justice and Empowerment. ये कुछ गड़बड़ हो गया है यहाँ पे, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ सोशल जस्टिस एंड एम्पावरमेंट है, जस्टिस एंड सोशल का बोलो, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ सोशल जस्टिस. Okay, so Vayoshri, BPL elderlies getting devices free of cost. Fine. Now, यहाँ पे एलिम्को, द पब्लिक सेक्टर अंडरटेकिंग, अभी हमने एलिम्को के बारे में थोड़ा पहले भी पढ़ा था. इट इज द सोल implementing agency. And where is the money coming from? All the money is coming from Senior Citizens Welfare Fund. वायोश्री में, वायोश्री बीपीएल के लिए फ्री में जा रहा है, तो पैसा कहां से आएगा? सीनियर सिटीजन वेलफेयर. एंड देयर इज अ नॉर्म as far as possible that try that 30% of these devices are going for women elderly. राष्ट्रीय वायोश्री, ध्यान रखो, ये पूछने वाला हूं. वायोश्री, अगेन आई विल रिपीट, वायोश्री for BPL elderlies devices, central sector, all the money coming from center only. ELMICO is the body implementing it, from Senior Citizen Fund, Senior Citizen Welfare Fund. All the money is coming. 30% roughly is going to women. 30% of the, there's an attempt that 30% of the devices go to. Okay, then there is National Program for Healthcare of Elderlies. याद रखो कि ऐसा कुछ है, क्योंकि ना इन PIB, in various updates, this program was used again and again. National Program for Healthcare of Elderlies, NPHCE. तो इसके अंदर focus is on providing preventive and curative rehabilitative services and strengthen referral system to develop specialized manpower and to promote research. तो ये healthcare services के लिए है, National Program for Healthcare of Elderlies. So under this, no, there are various elderly related specialization being developed. जैसे एम्स में there's a separate branch, एम्स एंड this CMC, क्रिश्चियन मेडिकल कॉलेज से करके कोई कॉलेज है ना फेमस सा, साउथ इंडिया में, तमिलनाडु में कहीं पे है, वहां पे एल्डरलीज के लिए एक सेंटर खोला गया, स्पेशलाइज्ड सेंटर, वेयर मोर रिसर्च एंड मोर बेड्स फॉर elderly or geriatrics related care would be provided for under this scheme, National Program for Healthcare of Elderlies. Then we have Pradhan Mantri Vay Vandana Yojana. Okay, before we go to Vay Vandana Yojana, who will tell me about Vayoshri? ये बताएगी तो पीछे लड़की बैठी है, वर्णिका जी. वायोश्री, tell me the feature of, अभी हमने वायोश्री पढ़ा, बताओ. अभी तो वय वंदना से कंपेयर कर पाओगे, कंफ्यूज नहीं होगे. We are studying so many schemes only for elderlies. What was Vayoshri? Devices free of cost to BPL elderlies, ELMICO, 30% devices, effort should be made to 30% going to women, and money coming from Senior Citizen Welfare Fund. That was Vayoshri. Okay, this is Vay Vandana Yojana is more of a pension scheme. Confuse नहीं होना है, देखो. Please understand, because all these schemes are named in a similar manner, we may get confused. And that's why focus करो थोड़ा सा. Vay Vandana Yojana. It's a pension scheme announced by Government of India exclusively for senior citizens. It was announced on in 2017 and was available from 4th May 2017 to 31st March 2020. Later, it has now been extended to 2023. Under this, initially क्या था? 2020 में some changes were made, but initially it was, by the way, it was available for everyone, for all the elderlies. What could be done? Elderlies can deposit up to 15 lakh rupees in bank and they'll get a fixed interest rate of 80%. Interest rate for everything else could be lesser, 6%, 7%, 5% पे भी अभी FD हो रहा है, but इनके लिए people who joined the scheme, interest rate would be 8%. So 15 lakh का 8%, 1,20,000, 10,000 rupees a month. They would be able to earn 10,000 rupees a month by depositing 15 lakh rupees the bank. So in a way, इस तरह से तो हाँ, सॉरी ये पेंशन नहीं है, बट इस तरह से इनकम जनरेशन है फॉर एल्डरली सो दैट वो स्टेबली अपना जीवन जी पाएंगे. सॉरी हाँ, किसी भी बैंक LIC बेसिकली इंप्लीमेंट कर रहा था इसे कभी. You got the idea? So this is why Vandana. Now some changes have been done under this. Government realized बहुत सारे elderlies हैं और बहुत पैसा डिपॉजिट कर रहे हैं 8% इंटरेस्ट. Government felt like क्यों देना है. They modified the scheme in 2020. That's why we are studying it again. First modification that they did was interest rate, investment rate. Please correct it. Varying interest rate. Earlier interest rate was fixed, 8%. Now interest rate would be varied every year and it would be decided by government. And it is capped at 7.75%. That is highest is 7.75. Interest rate would vary. At the start of each financial year, government would announce the interest rate. Then maximum investment is restricted to 15 lakh per person. So now 7.75 is the maximum interest rate. So maximum that a person can earn is 9,250 rupees under the scheme. And if there's a couple, husband wife दोनों ने 15 lakh deposit कर रखे हैं, then they can earn up to 18,500 rupees per month. There are some other benefits which are available under Vay Vandana. One is it's exempted from GST. It's exempted from GST. Loans about 75% of the purchase price shall be allowed after 3 years. That is after 3 years. इन 15 लाख रुपए में से 75% of 15 lakh कितना होगा? 12 lakh rupees. So up to 12 lakh rupees का लोन आपके पास अवेलेबल हो सकता है. And it allows premature exit also due to critical or terminal illness. You need money for treatment and all, so premature exit is also allowed. Then there is Pradhan Mantri Kisan Mandhan Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Kisan Mandhan Yojana. What is this? It's an old age voluntary contribution based pension scheme. Now, you remember Indira Gandhi old age pension Yojana? ऐसा ही नाम था ना? ओल्ड एज पेंशन योजना, वो इंदिरा गांधी का नाम हट गया है, बट वो इंदिरा गांधी ओल्ड एज पेंशन योजना. दैट वाज नॉट अ कंट्रीब्यूशन बेस्ड योजना कि आप अभी अपनी जवानी में पैसे डिपॉजिट करो एंड देन यू विल गेट रिटर्न्स बैक. दैट वाज नॉट दैट. सॉरी, it was BPL only, but it was not contribution based. This Mandhan, Kisan Mandhan Yojana is a old age voluntary contribution based pension where a minimum of 3,000 rupees would be available to you when you turn 60. जब आपका रिटायरमेंट एज आएगा तो कम से कम 3,000 rupees every month you will be able to. This scheme, Kisan Mandhan Yojana, was launched in 2019 because why? Most of the Kisans, most of the farmers, they do not have any pension scheme. They are not involved in any formal sector जहाँ पे उन्हें retirement benefits मिल रहे हों. In that case, what happens? कि after they turn 60, they do not have any regular source of income. So through this scheme, farmers who are in the age group of 18 to 40, only they can join it. They are being motivated that you start contributing some money right now towards your pension benefits. And up to 100 rupees per month that you will contribute, we will also add that. So आप 100 rupees दो, government भी 100 rupees add करें. Up to, if you are giving 200, government will only give 100. Government that maximum amount that government will give would be rupees 100 per month for the median age of entry 29. So what is median age 29? Because who can join this scheme? People who are between 18 to 40 years of age. The median age is 29. Now, there are few things that you should. अच्छा मैं ना इसे थोड़ा और अच्छे से. See, after retirement, you should minimum get 3,000 rupees. You can get much more than that. If you start contributing more, you can get much more than that, right? But 18 to 40 age group wala. So this 40 age group person will start getting 3,000 only after 20 years. Whereas this person will start getting 3,000 rupees after contributing for what? 42 years. This guy is only contributing for 20 years and this guy is contributing for 42 years and then he starts getting 3,000 rupees per month. So per month contribution of this guy would be much lesser when compared to per month contribution of this. So what government is saying that the person who's 29 years of age, median wala, usko 100 per month abhi contribute karna hai. We will contribute 100 per month. The total 200 per month would ensure that this person starts getting 3,000 per month after he turns 60. So this number may vary for different age group. Now, in case the farmer dies before the age of 60, then the wife of the farmer, spouse of the farmer, can continue the scheme by paying the remaining contribution. So suppose I'm a farmer and I die at the age of 55, and from 25 to 55 I have deposited the money. So for remaining 5 years, my spouse can contribute the money and continue the scheme. She would start getting 3,000 rupees per month after the retirement. Then if the farmer dies after the retirement age, suppose I'm the farmer, I die at the age of 65. What happens then? Would the pension stop? No. 50% of the pension will continue coming to the wife or the spouse. In my case, it would be wife. In case of some other farmer, it could be a husband. और अब तो homosexuality allowed है तो? Sorry? पूरा मिलेगा. हाँ. Aditya has a plan. If the farmer dies at 59, then wife gets full pension. But if he dies at 61, wife gets half pension. सोच लिया एकदम क्रिमिनल माइंड में है. अभी फार्मर वाइफ ढूंढेगा, देखना उसको दिलवाएगा ये स्कीम. और 59 में निपट गई ना वो. तो आदित्य ने आज से प्लान किया था, इस क्लास में प्लान किया था और रिकॉर्ड हो रहे हैं. आदित्य मेरी सारी क्लास अब वीडियो में जाती है, देख लेगा. Then there are some other initiatives which were launched recently. थक गए इतने जल्दी, बुढ़ापा आ गया एल्डरलीज पढ़ते पढ़ते. SAGE, सीनियर केयर एजिंग ग्रोथ इंजन एंड SAGE पोर्टल. ये अभी जून 2021 में was launched by Ministry of Social Justice and okay, will take some time. अभी पढ़ते हैं ना, क्या करोगे घर जाके. SAGE पोर्टल और SAGE इनिशिएटिव. तो पहले let's understand the idea behind SAGE project, SAGE initiative, SAGE portal before we get into the details. See, the idea here was elderlies need better quality of devices, better quality of financial products. Pension schemes में उन्हें innovative quality of चाहिए. Why are startups not coming in this area? Because startups can develop better quality equipments and all, right? So SAGE initiative is promoting startups in elderly care products, and that product can be devices, that product can be financial product, that product can be other kind of product. SAGE project is related to that. Okay, so let's understand what SAGE project is. It is shaped on the recommendation of the Empowered Expert Committee report on startups for elderly. So एक Empowered Expert Committee बना था on how to promote startups for elderly, and in that EC report has highlighted that there are business opportunities in this space in various fields. For example, insurance, medical, legal, financial services, infrastructure management, care, senior housing, living facilities and all. There are lots of services which elderlies need, and there's a lot of opportunity available. So this project aims to identify, evaluate, verify, aggregate and deliver products, solutions and services directly to the stakeholders with the help of startups. तो उसके लिए अभी Sage portal has been launched. This Sage portal would be a one-stop solution of elderly care products. Here, startups can come with their products. If those are approved, if those startups are selected, they'll be through this portal, they'll be able to develop their product and make those products available. Ministry will act as facilitator in enabling people with disability to access those products. Okay, Sage portal. अभी जून 2021 में मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ सोशल जस्टिस एंड एम्पावरमेंट ने लॉन्च किया. सेज इज समवन हु इज वेरी वाइज, राइट? तो एल्डरलीज के लिए है सेज पोर्टल, ऐसे याद रखें. तो छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं. गरिमा गृह, सेज पोर्टल, वन वर्ड क्वेश्चंस लाइक दिस मे बी आस्क्ड इन द एग्जामिनेशन. व्हाट यू आर सीइंग इज ये अगस्त तक पूरा अपडेटेड है. अगस्त का इनिशिएटिव भी है, जून का भी है, जुलाई का भी है. एल्डरली रिलेटेड सारी चीजें हैं यहाँ पे. LASI, LASI, Longitudinal Aging Study in India. इसका Wave 1 report was published. LASI Wave 1 report was published in January 2021. That's why we are studying. So first, let's understand what is LASI or what is Longitudinal Aging Study in India. Longitudinal Aging Study in India is a partnership between a few institutions, including International Institute of Population Science, T.H. Chan School of Public Health, and University of Southern California. देखो यहाँ पे तीन इंस्टीट्यूशन का कोलैबोरेशन है, where they have launched LASI Wave 1 under the aegis of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare to study the situation of elderlies in India. Purpose is to study the situation of elderlies in India. So, because it was launched under the aegis of Ministry of Health Affairs, and Ministry of Health Affairs was also financially supporting this initiative along with some other institutions, its report was published by or released by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in 2021, January 2021. What is the report saying? The report is saying, as per 2011 census, India's elderly population was 8.6%. That is around 10 crore. 10.6 crore के आसपास था 2011 में. But they're saying this is going to increase by around 3% every year on an average, and by 2050 our elderly population would be 31 crore. And we should prepare for that. These many people will need old age care. Further, they say that around 75%, 3 out of 4 elderlies suffer from some form of chronic disease, hypertension, sugar, stroke related things. They suffer from that. They also say that 40% of the elderlies have one or the other disability, and 20% have issues related to mental health. They also say that on an average, 5% of elderlies have reported that in the year 2020, they faced some kind of ill treatment. This varied from state to state. सबसे ज़्यादा ill treatment against elderlies was in Bihar, then in Karnataka, West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Chandigarh and Chhattisgarh. अब देखो बिहार, उत्तर प्रदेश आ गया तो बड़ा population percentage आ गया. So even if there is less mistreatment in other areas, around 5% elderlies in the country do suffer from this. Okay, this is another topic related to elderlies called invalid pension. Let's understand this. See, suppose I'm an army person and मैं अपने घर पे था, मेरा एक्सीडेंट हो गया and I became disabled. I lost my legs. I'll lose my job, but will I get pension from army? This disability is not because of war or while serving there. So earlier rule was, if you have not served in the army for more than 10 years, you don't get pension. If you have served more than 10 years, you'll get the pension. But if you have not served more than 10 years and your disability was because of non-army thing, you will not get pension. Okay, So the government provides invalid pension to armed forces personnel who are invalidated out of service because of disability that can neither be attributed to or nor is aggravated by military service. People who have become invalid from serving in the army, उनको army pension देता है, but till now the pension was only provided to those armed forces personnel who had more than 10 years of service. Fine, and were invalid for reasons that were neither attributable to or aggravated by the military service की वजह से their disability had not come and they had at least 10 years of service. They had become invalid from serving, but they could get what? They could get. Now, central government in 2020 have changed this rule. Even those armed forces personnel who have less than 10 years of experience will be able to get invalid. They'll be able to get invalid pension, but not all. Like कोई 20 साल पहले रिटायर हो गया है with less than 10 years of service because of some disability which was not associated with army work. Will that person start getting pension now? No. Only those people who were in service on or after 4th of January 2019. तो जो नए वाले लोग जिन्हें आर्मी छोड़नी पड़ी है because of disability happening somewhere outside. Okay, I'll give more clarity on this to avoid any kind of confusion. See, there's this person who faced disability not because of army work, not because of army, or this injury was not aggravated because of army work. Okay, so earlier what used to happen, less than 10 years service, no pension or no invalid pension. देखो यहाँ पे invalid pension क्यों बोले? Because this person has become invalid from serving, and therefore the pension that these invalid people are getting was called invalid pension. So earlier, if you had less than 10 years of service, then no invalid pension. But now, and if you had more than 10 years of service, then you get invalid pension. Please do not confuse invalid pension with कि pension के लिए invalid है. It doesn't mean that. This person is eligible for invalid pension if the service was of more than 10 years. Now, if the disability was because of some army work, you were fighting terrorists and you became disabled, no age limit matters. Even if it's been only one day since you joined the battalion in Kargil and you got disabled, you will get pension. But if your disability is, you have been invalidated for some other reason, then you don't get pension. If you are less than 10 years, you have less than 10 years of service, you get pension if you have more than 10 years of service. But now it has been changed. Even these people would get pension, but only those who were serving in the army as of 4th January 2000. उसके बाद जो सर्व कर रहे हैं उनको अंडरस्टूड. इनवैलिड पेंशन क्या है? ओके, नाउ इंटरनेशनल डे फॉर ओल्डर पर्सन, ठीक है. व्हेन इज इंटरनेशनल डे फॉर ओल्डर पर्सन हेल्ड? गांधी जी के बर्थडे से एक दिन पहले, 1st of October. ओके, यूएन का एक डे है. दिस ईयर्स थीम वाज pandemics, do they change how we address age or aging? Then this year Ministry of Health and Family Welfare have announced decade of aging. So on 1st of October only they had announced decade of aging. So 2020 to 2030 mein we would on this decade we would focus more on the problems which elderlies are facing and how do we remove that, take care of them. Okay, so these were schemes, programs related to elderlies. Now let's go to legal provisions related to. पढ़ने का भागना है? क्या करोगी जाके? क्या रखा है घर में? कुछ नहीं, पढ़ लो. नहीं जा भी सकते हो, मतलब you people are worried कि कम लोग बैठे, 4-5 लोग बैठे तो सर को दिख जाएगा कौन जा रहा है. When there are 200 students sitting in the class, so people can get out very easily. Like I've never seen her sitting in class for this long. ये अपने घर पे भी एक वीडियो देखने में 24 घंटे लगाती है। इसके पेरेंट्स को लगता है कि मैं ही एक टीचर हूँ जो दिन भर पढ़ा रहा हूँ। ये नहीं बताती है पढ़ाया सर ने 1 घंटा ही है, मैं दिन भर वही वीडियो खोल के बैठी हूँ। मुझे लगता है टीचर मेहनती है, तो ये टीचर के बहाने आ जाती है। पार्थ, यू नो दैट नो? कितना फ्रॉड किया है तुमने। अनफॉर्चुनेटली दिस वीडियो इज नॉट गोइंग ऑन यूट्यूब, दिस मैंने लिंक विंक भेजा होता। लॉज रिलेटेड टू प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ एल्डरलीज। तो देखो, देयर आर सम पर्सनल लॉज लाइक हिंदू एक्ट, हिंदूज पे जो वैलिड है, मुस्लिम्स पे वैलिड है एंड सो ऑन। तो जो सेक्शन 20 ऑफ हिंदू अडॉप्शन एंड मेंटेनेंस एक्ट, हिंदू अडॉप्शन एंड मेंटेनेंस एक्ट में आप अडॉप्शन भी कर सकते हो, यू नो दैट। जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट इज प्रोवाइडेड फॉर अदर मैकेनिज्म, बट हिंदू parents can adopt children under Hindu Adoption Act. It also imposes obligation on children, not on male or female, बच्चों पे, to maintain their parents. The obligation is not confined to sons only, and daughters also have equal. If you are not taking care of your parents, you are violating this act. If you are not taking care of them. Similarly, Muslim personal law also provides for maintenance by the children. Though under Christian and Parsi personal law, there are no provisions for maintenance of elderlies, they can also be directed to take care of the elderlies as per the provisions of CRPC. Which provision of CRPC? Section 125. If children have sufficient means, they should provide for maintenance of parents. They should provide for maintenance of elderlies. It's a secular law applicable on everyone. तो Christian, Parsis जिनके personal law नहीं बोलते हैं ऐसा, उनके लिए भी elderlies have to be taken care of. Okay, but then government came up with detailed act, Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizen Act 2007. Maintenance and Welfare of Senior Citizens Act 2007. This has given a lot of power to elderlies, and we need to make our elderlies aware of this law. उनके अगेंस्ट जितना डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, जितना मिसट्रीटमेंट the children do, all those things could be avoided if the children as well as elderlies are made aware of this law. Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Act 2007. It was in news recently because government in 2019 have brought an amendment. That bill was introduced. That bill was then sent to the standing committee, and the standing committee has recently given a report for that on that. It has not been passed, the amendment has not been passed. We'll just look at the bill and the key changes that they're doing, but broadly, these are the things. Or in the original act, these are the things. So, it enables senior citizens, so it has defined senior citizen as person who is aged more than 60 years, abandoned by their children to claim maintenance. Senior citizens who have been abandoned by their children, they can claim maintenance. What kind of maintenance? Who is entitled for maintenance? Senior citizen who is unable to maintain himself. They can ask for maintenance from children, adult children or grandchildren or relative. They are legally obliged to pay maintenance. Which relative? Relative to whom the property of the elderly would go when the elderly dies. अगर children, grandchildren नहीं है तो किसी relative के पास तो जाएगा ना property. That may be brothers, children or grandchildren. Then they are legally obligated to pay maintenance. Then it also provides for maintenance tribunals to quickly dispose of such cases. अब एक elderly ने केस फाइल किया, it's going on for 5 years, 5 years में elderly निकल लिए. That should not happen. So they have provided for maintenance tribunal which should resolve cases within 90 days without any lawyers. Lawyers की complication में नहीं जाना है. Both side come and present your perspective. Parents and senior citizens could be assisted by maintenance officers during the tribunal proceeding, but not the children. Parents can opt to claim maintenance either under Section 125 of CRPC or this Act. You know that Section 125 of CRPC is also providing for maintenance. Then some things are provided for. If senior citizens are intentionally abandoned, 3 years of jail term is there and 5,000 of fine, rupees 5,000 का fine हो सकता है. Similarly, transfer of property can be declared void. Sometimes what happens, You make your parents transfer your property in your name and then you start treating them badly. जब तो हो गया तुम्हारी प्रॉपर्टी मेरे हाथ में है. The law says transfer of property can be declared void through an application before tribunal in case the transferee refuses or fails to fulfill the condition of basic amenities and physical needs of the elderly. State governments have been given certain responsibilities. Separate queue for elderlies in government hospitals. Every district hospital should have special facility for senior citizens. Research activities for geriatric care should be done. Every district must have at least one old age home. Measures for publicity, awareness, etc. for welfare of senior citizens should be provided. These things are provided in the law itself. Now, there's an attempt to amend the law. The Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizen Amendment Bill 2019. It was introduced in the House, in the Lok Sabha, and then it has been sent to the committee. Now, what is the law trying to say? It has expanded the definition of children. Now, stepchildren, adoptive children, children in law and legal guardian of minor children are included in the definition. So that more people are obliged to take care of the elderlies now. So elderlies, with amendment, we'll try to increase the protection for elderly. Similarly, definition of maintenance and welfare has also been expanded. Maintenance का मतलब ये नहीं कि बस उनके रहने के लिए घर हो गया, उनको खाना दे दिया. Maintenance, the original law included provisions of food, clothing, residence, and medical attendance and treatment in the definition. Now the bill expands this definition to healthcare, safety, security of parents and senior citizens, which would lead to a life of dignity. So they have broadened the definition. Then it removes the upper limit on the maintenance amount. Earlier, in the original law, there's a limit, upper limit of 10,000 per month on the maintenance amount. That has been removed. The bill removes this upper limit, and the maintenance would be decided by the tribunal based on the standard of living and earning of the parent or senior citizen and earning of the children. It's something like कल Mukesh Ambani transfers all the property to his children, and then children abandon him. So in the original law, Mukesh Ambani could get 10,000 rupees a month, but now the amendment is saying no, it would be decided by the standard of living and the profit income of the children. The maintenance could be in crores and crores and crores. Then there is provision for quicker payments. Original law said that the maintenance amount should be paid within 30 days of the order of the tribunal. Now the bill is reducing it to 15 days. It also expands the role of maintenance officer. Maintenance officer can now ensure compliance of the order of the tribunal and also act as liaison for the parents and their citizens. Appeal option given to children as well. पहले appeal option children को नहीं था. Original law only allowed parents or senior citizen to appeal against the decision of the tribunal. But now, if children are also facing grievance, इतने पैसे हम नहीं दे सकते. My monthly income is 15,000 rupees per month. You've asked me to pay 8,000 rupees per month to my parents. I cannot do that. You can also appeal now. More stringent provisions are being prescribed by the bill for better implementation of the law. There are some other steps which are being taken for the welfare of senior citizens. This is also there. Okay, health तो आपको खुद से पढ़ना है. I had told health and education related schemes programs you would study at your home. Okay, tomorrow I'll also provide you a booklet on education. और उसमें SC ST वाले कुछ provisions डाल देंगे. With that, your social justice would be done. But officially, today was your last class on Target Prelims Current Affairs 2021. Okay. Now, there are a few things that I'm saying I'll anyways be doing. उसके लिए मुझे बार-बार remind मत करना. One would be science tech, defense, IPR and other updates. मैं एक घंटे की वीडियोस बनाता रहूंगा, आपको देता रहूंगा. Alternate day. Do not expect it every day. I was taking classes every day abhi because I had to finish everything. Then from day after tomorrow, we'll also start the 500 MCQ thing for environment. Abhi I'll give you the rough plan tomorrow on YouTube because that is available for everyone. We'll be doing it through YouTube Live but you will be able to join through this only, Zoom only, but for others, for outsiders, it would be on YouTube live. So environment का 500 question thing I'll be doing. Economy में बैंकिंग एंड कुछ अपडेट्स होंगे जो पिछले 1-2 महीने के होंगे, दैट आई वुड बी डूइंग, अभी आई एम प्लानिंग टू डू. एंड देन कल्चर, स्पेशली एंशिएंट, इसको मैं लास्ट प्रायोरिटी दे रहा हूं बिकॉज दिस इज नॉट समथिंग दैट्स माय कमिटमेंट, दैट एनीवेज आई विल बी डूइंग. ठीक है, आई एम ऑल्सो प्रोवाइडिंग अ बुकलेट ऑन प्लेसेस इन न्यूज, अभी नेक्स्ट 4-5 दिन में वो भी दे दूंगा. दीज थिंग्स आई एम ऑलरेडी डूइंग, डू नॉट कीप रिमाइंडिंग मी, दिस इज ऑलरेडी ऑन प्रायोरिटी. रैंडम मैसेजेस, सर ये कराओगे क्या, वो कराओगे क्या, जितना करा दिया है, कोई एकदम कॉन्फिडेंट है कि सर ने जितना कराया सब आता है, तो पहले मेरे पास आओ, मुझे दिखाओ कि आपके पास आपको सब आता है, उसके बाद स्टार्ट क्वेश्चनिंग में कि आगे कब क्या कराओगे. ओके, आदित्य क्या बोल रहे हो? शिखा बोलती है, शिखा मुझसे कुछ नहीं बोलती. ठीक है, तो ऑल दीज थिंग्स आई हैव इन प्लान. मैंने ऑलरेडी स्ट्रैटेजी डिस्कस किया इन प्रीवियस सोशल जस्टिस क्लासेस, हाउ यू शुड रिवाइज. आई ऑल्सो आस्क्ड गिवन यू अ 32 डे स्ट्रैटेजी कि 24 डेज में कैसे पूरा रिवीजन करना है, फिर 8 डेज में दोबारा कैसे रिवाइज करना है, हाउ डू यू हैव टू अटेम्प्ट टेस्ट पेपर्स, सेक्शनल करना है या फुल करना है. आई हैव एक्सप्लेन्ड यू ऑल दोस थिंग्स इन द लास्ट 3-4 क्लासेस, सोशल जस्टिस की क्लासेस में. डू वॉच देम. कोई भी इश्यू होगा आई एम अवेलेबल. हम 8 बजे से 10 बजे तक का टाइम रख लेते हैं. चलो, हाँ, I may record classes in the evening. So 8 to 10 p.m. I'm available for any doubt, any issue. Just give me a call. मेरा नंबर जिन लोगों के पास नहीं, सबके पास होगा ही तो देना है, तो do that. ओके, चलिए फिर ऑल द बेस्ट. पढ़ते रहिए. हम प्रोग्राम आज ऑफिशियली रोक रहे हैं. इसके बाद जो पढ़ाएंगे करंट अफेयर्स का, हार्डली 1-2 क्वेश्चन आएगा, तो अगर छूटता भी है तो कोई बात नहीं, ना पढ़ाया है उसे अच्छे से कंप्लीट करके जाओ. ठीक है, I'll keep doing a lot of things from my side, but that should not be a cause of concern. Do not keep reminding me कि ये करना है, ये करना है, ये करना है. Okay, anything that you people want to say? हाँ, Adarsh is saying science 9, 10th NCERT through questions if possible. I'll try to do this also. I'll try doing this. Okay, anything else? Anything that you people want to ask? कार्तिकेय ने हाथ उठाया है, बताओ कार्तिकेय. हाँ, एक सेशन में एक ही बार पास हो सकता है यार, ऐसा तो मैंने नहीं पढ़ा कहीं भी कि नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन एक सेशन में एक ही बार हो सकता है. नहीं देखो, मतलब आप बोल रहे हो एक सेशन में एक ही बार लाया जा सकता है नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन. देखो कार्तिक सुनो, मैंने पढ़ा नहीं है कभी ऐसा, ना रूल्स में पढ़ा है, ना ही कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में ऐसा कहीं मेंशन जो है वो पढ़ा है. तो कहीं पे ऐसा होता है, कहीं आपने पढ़ा है तो मुझे लिंक भेज दीजिए, मैं उसे देख लूंगा. तो कार्तिक इज सेइंग कि he has studied it somewhere that no confidence motion in one session of the parliament can be introduced only once. हाँ, भेज दीजिएगा ना, मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ, भेज दीजिएगा. ओके, एनीथिंग एल्स गाइस? चलिए फिर अच्छे से पढ़ते रहिए. ऑल द बेस्ट. और बाकी कोई भी इशू हो कॉल करिए. मैं आगे की जो भी क्लासेस लूंगा, स्पेशली जो हिस्ट्री वगैरह की लूंगा, वो भी मैं लाइव लेने की कोशिश करूंगा, सो दैट यू पीपल कैन इंटरैक्ट एंड यू पीपल कैन बी मोर फोकस्ड. ओके, चलिए, थैंक यू वेरी मच.